This is the new Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and I tried switching from my iPhone XS for about 2 full weeks, and I don't think I'll be sticking with it. Let me tell you why. I'm Ben from AuthenTech, and anyone who really knows me, I'm a huge Android fan, way more than iOS. But I've been sort of stuck on the iPhone XS for almost the entire last year. I was really hoping that the Note 10 Plus would be the one that brings me back into the light, the Android side, but it just couldn't cut it for me. So here's a few key reasons why. Let me explain. Now, first things first, the Note 10 Plus is an awesome phone. It truly has some incredible features. It's powerful, packed with top tier specs. I bought it with my own money, and the trade-in offer was pretty incredible, up to $600 off. Here's a firing off of my first impressions and using the phone for 2 weeks straight. The massive screen, well, it's massive. It feels like you're holding a TV in your hand. Watching YouTube and other content is just fantastic. The front-facing camera cutout is a small hole that I've come to barely notice. If it has to be there, I think centered up top is the best placement, as they did. The large screen also makes typing on a large keyboard much faster and easier, which I like. It feels super good to be back on the Swift key for Android. There's so much more helpful customization over the iOS app. Internally, it has that 12 gigs of RAM, expandable micro SD slot. One UI is overall nice with endless customization. Just look at all these quick toggle settings. The haptic feedback motor is really nice and especially helpful when typing. I appreciate all the little tweaks that Samsung includes, like swapping those bottom, home, back navigation buttons, or always on display, and so much more. The dual speakers are really loud and produce fantastic stereo sound. The S Pen is fun, and I've already found some useful ways to utilize it. It's comfortable to hold, wirelessly recharges each time it's inserted back into the phone. There's a ton of screen capture and recording and annotation features, which I found myself using quite often. The power button was stacked on the left side of the phone, just below the volume buttons, and I found this a strange placement, though I did get used to it. In my opinion, I think they should have kept it on the right side like everyone else though. On a positive note, Samsung already made an update so you can turn off that Bixby function to the power button and hold it down for powering off, which I appreciate them implementing so soon. And of course, there's a whole lot more of cool features on the phone, but now on to some of the cons I found and comparison notes versus the iPhone XS. The Note, it comes with way too many silly apps pre-installed, like Netflix, Outlook, OneDrive, and so much more. Even though that edge-to-edge display just looks really slick, I actually don't enjoy those curved edges. It's less surface area to hold on to, it hurts your fingers after holding for long periods of time, plus those accidental side touches, they're a real thing. It happened to me a lot more often than I'd prefer. I also found that even though the massive display is a great feature in some regard, I have average size hands, and I think the form factor is just too large for my taste. Single-handed control and typing can be difficult, and though I think a loopy case, for instance, could help a lot in this area, those are expected to release in a couple weeks. I'm hoping to get mine soon. On to the biggest deal for me personally is that camera. Oh man, I had such high hopes for the Note 10 Plus's camera system, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of greatness here. Especially that wide angle lens is so sweet to have. Let me know if you want to see my in-depth camera review. Now, I use the video camera probably 10 to 50 different times every single day, way more often than the average person, I get that. But there are two major areas that the iPhone XS beat out the Note in video mode. And those are, well, make sure you're subscribed, as I'll be doing a dedicated camera comparison video between these two coming very soon. But those two areas are autofocus and HDR. The autofocus on the Note was just horrible when trying to lock onto a subject. And oddly enough, when I'm capturing a shot with the iPhone XS, Well, like 98% of the time, it's locked right where it should be. The Galaxy Note 10 is hunting back and forth and ruining these important shots for me. It's quite strange and maybe can be updated in a software update, I'm not sure. The other key difference is HDR in video. It's pretty widely known that the high dynamic range on the iPhone XS, it's out of this world good. And even though the Google Pixel competes or probably even wins in the photography category, the iPhone takes it home for the dynamic range in video mode. Colors, white balance, saturation, it's not perfect on the iPhone, but it's really good, especially when viewing side by side versus other cams. Dynamic range on the Note is okay, just not as good in my opinion. Again, stay tuned for my in-depth camera comparison between these two coming soon. At the end of the day, each device has its own hundreds of pros and cons lists that you could come up with. It all comes down to each person's own preferences and knowing what your top priorities are. And this isn't even considering cost into the equation, that's a whole other discussion. For me, I found my high priorities are form factor, something small and comfortable to hold, easy to use for single-handed use and typing, a top-tier video camera with good autofocus and HDR, and another big one, I found that apps are usually a lot more stable and even better designed on the iPhone over the Android. Plus, I'm often needing to use beta apps before public release for video reviews, and those are almost always only on iOS first, and then at launch they post on Android at a later date. And that makes sense because iOS has only a handful of devices to develop for. The Android world, well, you have hundreds of different phones and manufacturers. The triple camera and ultra wide angle lens is another top priority for me, and yet that new iPhone 11, well, it will finally be receiving one, so stay tuned for that video in just a week or two. The other key feature that has kept me stuck on the iPhone, well, that's AirDrop. It's fast and easy to wirelessly file transfer between my phone and iMac, which, yes, I'm stuck on Mac since Final Cut Pro 10 is still the best out right now. There's AirDroid for Android, which is nice, but still not as fast or efficient. I capture B-roll and footage on my iPhone, AirDrop it over to my Mac for editing. Then when I export, for example, a social media video from Final Cut, well, I AirDrop it right back over to my iPhone to post on Instagram. And don't let any of this fool you, I'm still not a huge fan of the Apple ecosystem and just how locked down it can be. But it's truly simple and straightforward, and apparently a lot of people like that. There's a lot of wishlist items I have for iPhone, like faster face unlock, pattern unlock, bring back that fingerprint scanner. I personally think if it was side mounted, it could still be good for fast and secure unlocking. USB-C would be nice, but I think that's still a dream. I heard the Lightning port will be coming back in the next model. Maybe in another decade or two, Apple will catch up. A 90Hz display, faster animations, always on display, the list could go on and on. There's no perfect phone for sure, but each person should find out what their top priorities are, all within a budget, and then narrow it down from there. Do I think I'll be stuck on the iPhone forever? Well, I sure hope not. Pixel is an awesome phone with the best photo camera, not the best video unfortunately, but that rumored triple camera setup on the new Pixel 4, that could be game changing. The Mate 30 Pro looks pretty incredible. I'm trying to get my hands on one for testing and camera comparisons. Let me know down in the comments what you found your top priorities are for a phone over the years, excluding budget from the list. And make sure you stick around for a lot more camera tests coming soon. This time of year always gets fun and crazy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, let's live AuthenTech.